Now today's video is going to help us to know how many solar panels we are going to be needing to charge our 5 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery. In my previous video, I mentioned a few things that I'm going to try to help us to recall, so that if we are not yet watched those videos, at least we can have a basic understanding of what this video is about. A 5 kilowatt hour lithium phosphate battery, if we are working by the books, we are going to expect 5,000 watts to come out of it in 1 hour. That means if you have a gadget that is 5,000 watts, if you plug it on that battery, in 1 hour, it's going to run the battery down. So that is what 5 kilowatt hour means. I was able to establish that it is a 4 kilowatt hour because very few batteries go with the full rating, that's 100% capacity. So this particular one, it is not a full 5 kilowatt hour lithium phosphate battery. So for more details, you can check the previous video so that you understand. I don't want to waste too much time on that. Talking about the amount of solar panels we are going to be needing to charge this battery, the first thing we want to ask ourselves is, how does the panel behave? What are we supposed to expect from a solar panel? What should I expect, let's say, for a 100 watt solar panel, using a rounded figure panel? Does it mean I'm going to be getting 100 watt from a 100 watt solar panel throughout the day? Well, not quite. In the mornings, what happens is that you start with getting 0 through to 1, 2, and it climbs to a maximum power that you can get in a day, and after some time it starts dropping down. That is in an ideal situation. However, on cloudy days, or maybe for some reason the cloud just decides to disappear or blocking the sun, it just keeps going up and on like that, roller coaster kind of movement. So that way you can already guarantee exactly how much power you're going to be getting from the sun. However, there are some estimates, and of course I've also done tests in that regard. I was able to find out what 150 watt solar panel can do. I've already done that video, and I'll leave the link in the description below and maybe my end screen as well. So that way, when you understand what the solar panel can do, there's almost no question you cannot answer in this department, because you now have an idea of what one solar panel can do. Let me refer us back, because that is the basis for this particular video right now. In my test, the average energy I was getting from my 150 watt solar panel in a day was somewhere around 500. And if I were to divide our weather into 3, that means rainy, cold season, medium, and hot season, I would say we're just a bit we're closer in the middle to the hot season. That means if we're putting a scale of 0 to 100, if it was possible to put it that way, I was somewhere around 75% in terms of the weather that we're in. It was not the very, very hot weather. It was just that weather that, excellent, 75 to 80%. So that was the kind of weather where I did this experiment. Now, why is it important to know which season we are in? The results I'm getting during that season, I cannot use it to calculate during the rainy season, because the rainy season may just be half of what I was getting at that time, because rainy season is going to come with a lot of cloudy days and everything. So it's very good to understand that. The question I'm trying to answer here is not straightforward. The other thing to look at is this: if we are trying to charge this battery, do we have any other alternative means? So that brings us to the other thing which I mentioned in my previous video, that I don't have grid power in my location, even though I'm connected to the grid. So that means I'm more or less totally off grid, and I have to calculate all my energy needs on this 5 kilowatt hour lithium phosphate battery, if that is what I'm going to be using. The way to do that is this: if I know that one solar panel, because the test I did, a 150 watt solar panel was able to give me about 500 watts on the average, because the result is not going to be exactly the same. You're just going to be getting 500. I was getting some days I got a bit less than 500, and I got up to 600. So when you take the average, I got somewhere around 500 during that season. So if we're using 500 for a 150 watt solar panel, that means in a whole day, 2 of it will produce 1 kilowatt hour in a whole day. So what that means is that if my battery is low and I want to charge it fully, I'm going to need 8 of those solar panels to take it to 4 kilowatt hour. But the math is not that straightforward. Like I said earlier, the battery can actually take more charge than that, and of course there are losses somewhere along the way when you are charging your system. So you have to jump a bit more than that figure. So let's say instead of using 8 150 watt solar panel, let's just approximate it to 10. So in this business of solar panel usage, you have to have the habit of approximating to the nearest high figure on some cases, and in some other cases you'll be approximating downwards. So that way in a rainy day, you'll not be caught unawares because your sizing gave allowance for those kind of rainy weather. I hope that is clear. So having said what I've said now, if 8 solar panels, or in this case now we have approximated it to 10, if we can charge our battery in a whole day, the other things we are going to be using our solar system for during the day, what will not give us that power? Because if we are waiting to charge it fully, for the most part, when we are charging it, we're also going to be using from the battery. So what do? We now need to have an estimate of the things we use during the day, so that way we also have to account for that. So if we have 10 solar panels that are just charging the battery, making sure it is full during the day, we now need to calculate our energy needs during the day. Now in my part of the world, what we do is this: our freezers are usually on from morning till evening. That is, if you live off grid especially, that way you know that it is some power that is using to power your freezer. Then of course we recommend that people wash their clothes using the washing machine during the day, and as many things as you can do during the day. So if you now have an idea of what you are consuming during the day, because this video, I hope I'll not be able to exhaust everything I have to say, I'm still going to do a video that will explain in details the things you are going to be doing. I think I did that in the previous video, but it was not detailed enough. So I'm going to be doing a more comprehensive video, like taking a real house into consideration. It's going to be a long video, but it's going to be something that once you watch it and you understand it, you will not really have much questions again. Any question you have about solar and everything will just more like disappear. So that's one of my targets in this channel, to demystify, to make things simple. That's why I'm doing this series right now, so that people can understand what they are buying. I have too many people buying system, or they say, oh, I did not know, I would have made it bigger, this system is too big, different complaints. Like I always say, don't buy a system because your friend has that system. Find out what you need and buy your system according to your needs. Don't buy it according to what you see or what people are saying. Very important. So if you understand that about solar system, when you want to install, don't tell your installer what you are installing. Yes, maybe if you're on a budget, it makes all the sense in the world, but if you really want to be covered, find somebody who understands how solar system works and ask for their advice. Let them know what you want to power with it, and they will advise you accordingly. And that's the way to go about it. Going back to the power needs that we're talking about, we've established that 150 watt solar panel will be able to just take this battery from 0 to full. So let's say we are using a total of that same 5 kilowatts in the course of a day. Maybe your freezer, you put it on for 12 hours, and maybe it's a 300 watts freezer, 3 kilowatts, you've used 3 kilowatts. Your washing machine, you used about maybe another 1 kilowatt. Of course, you're not going to be washing your clothes every time, but in some homes they wash it almost every day. Then of course, pumping your water, there's something about pumping your water that I cannot really go into details with. If you live off grid, it doesn't make sense for you to wait for your water to go down fully before you start pumping your water, especially at night. You don't want it to fall at that night period. So that's topic for another day. If you calculate very well, you should be able to know like how many minutes. If you are pumping your water every day, you should be able to know that, okay, I use a particular kilowatt on a daily basis. And I've also done a test in that regard, how much power I needed to fill my tank. Yes, a 1,500 liters. So I'll be talking more about this so that we understand these things, because I don't like it when people complain about their system, because everything is supposed to be straightforward, but for some reason it's not straightforward for most people. So that's what this channel is about. Now, going back to what I was saying, let's say the energy needs you have in a whole day now is now 5 kilowatt. That means you now need another extra 10 panels to go with this 10 that we talked about earlier. Now remember, I did mention during the hot seasons. That means during the rainy season, what was enough during the dry season is not going to be enough during the raining season. So that way, you now have to ask yourself, what are the things you are really using during the rainy season? Because during the rainy season, in a funny way, the fans that we depend heavily on during the hot season, at the end of the day, during the rainy season, we don't really depend on them. Because if I look at most of my clients, what they depend on at night mostly for is their fans, for their solar system to take it through the night during the hot season. In a funny way, or on the flip side, during the rainy season, their fans become useless. So that means solar panels that would have been talking about, let us add so many panels during the rainy season. By virtue of eliminating that thing that they use the most for their solar system, we have now been able to see that we don't need so much extra solar panel to be able to drive our system even during the rainy season. However, some things like your deep freezer, they'll still be coming on, but there's another thing about freezers. If the weather is cold, you don't need more, you need less power during the cold weather to power your freezer as opposed to the very hot weather. So that's something that maybe in future, if there's a need to explain it, I will explain it more. Let's say we already have 10 150 watt solar panels. Accounting for the rainy season, it makes all the sense to start saying, okay, should I get 5 or maybe 10 extra? In an ideal world, I will go with 30 150 watt solar panel. So that means regardless of the weather, I will be covered. However, there are going to be days when you have about 3 straight days where it is cloudy. So that way, you are still going to get stranded. So that's the much I'm going to say about this video. Subsequently, based on the questions and feedback, I'll be doing videos to answer more questions, because if I want to keep talking, at the end of the day, I will not be able to exhaust this whole video. Just to recap, for somebody who is living off grid, is going to be needing 30 150 watts solar panels to charge this 5 kilowatt hour system to run it effectively. Now, for somebody who is having some maybe 6 hours throughout the whole day, because they have the benefit of getting charged from their grid power, they may be able to manage with somewhere around 20 or less, let's say 15. Half of someone like me that is off the grid, they'll be able to manage with that amount of solar panel. Now, somebody who is having very good power, at the end of the day, even with 8 to 10 150 watt solar panel, they'll be able to do just fine, because most of their power is coming from the grid. So I hope this explanation is clear. If we want to go into specific, that means if I now have to discuss with somebody, go and visit you and check what you want to power, everything I've just said now could very well change. Having said all this now, I want to believe that we have established that when you live off grid, the panels you are going to be needing is more, and of course the battery you are going to be needing is going to be bigger. We're just trying to cover everything about 5 kilowatt hour lithium phosphate system. That's why we're talking about what it needs to charge and everything. When you are really living off the grid, at some point you're going to find out that this 5 kilowatt hour, it looks like we'll try to make it bigger. That means, step up to 10 kilowatt, because your energy needs, it only increases, it never really decreases. I hope that is clear. I don't want to make this video too long. Go back to the previous videos and watch them.